September 11, 2014, from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football on the NFL Network. These two AFC North rivals were going at it. This game started off with the Steelers having the ball as they were driving deep into the Ravens' territory, but then a fumble caused a turnover, and the Ravens took over on their own 15-yard line. The Ravens would then march downfield as they went 85 yards all the way down, where they ended up getting a touchdown. This Owen Daniels ended up catching the ball from Joe Flacco for a 2-yard touchdown. They were in a 3 tight end set coming out of a timeout, and that would make it 7-0 as the Ravens took the lead just before the end of the first quarter. The Steelers would get the ball as they brought the first quarter to a close and opened up the second quarter, and they would have to punt. So the Ravens got the ball back for their first drive of the second quarter, their second drive of the game overall, and they would end up settling for a field goal as Justin Tucker hit a 30-yarder to make it 10-0. Pittsburgh then got the ball back, and they were able to drive into field goal range, and Shaun hit a 25-yard field goal to make it 10-3 as they cut the Ravens' lead to within a touchdown. The Ravens then went 3 and out and were forced to punt, so the Steelers got the ball back with less than 2 minutes left before halftime. They were coming down the field, but then a sack on Roethlisberger and penalties ended up killing their drive. Dumervil was the one who came up with the sack. It was first down in the Baltimore 42. He sacked Roethlisberger right around midfield. They would end up having a punt as the Ravens defense was just bringing the heat all game long. Joe Flacco took a knee, and this game went to halftime with the Ravens in the lead 10-3. The Steelers then came out, and they ended up getting a field goal on their first drive of the second half as Shaun hit a 43-yard field goal to make it 10-6. The Ravens responded though with the scoring drive as Joe Flacco ended up hitting Owen Daniels for their second touchdown connection. This time it was just for a yard. And with the Tucker extra point, it would be 17-6 as the Ravens extended their lead. Pittsburgh would then go 3 and out on the next drive as they would be forced to punt. Baltimore would take over and they'd bring the third quarter to a close. They opened up the fourth. They would end up kicking a field goal. Justin Tucker hit a 23-yarder. They had marched all the way down into the red zone, all the way to the 5-yard line of Pittsburgh. They had to settle for the field goal, and that made it 20-6. Pittsburgh then got the ball back, and another fumble. This time it was Heath Miller. It's Mosley recovered, and Baltimore took over on Pittsburgh's 20. They got all the way down to the 3-yard line. Then they lost the yard, and an incomplete pass on 3rd and 4 led to another field goal by Justin Tucker, this time a 22-yarder, and now the score was 23-6. Pittsburgh then would get the ball with about 11 minutes left in the game, and they desperately needed a score if they were going to have any chance of a comeback. That wouldn't happen, and they ended up punting. Baltimore then would go right back down the field. They got all the way to the 1-yard line, but they would not end up in the end zone, and Justin Tucker ended up kicking another field goal, this time a 20-yarder, and it was 26-6 Ravens. So this game was well out of hand, and then Roethlisberger ended up throwing an interception with about 2 minutes left as Haloti Ngata made an incredible play. He batted the ball at the line of scrimmage when Roethlisberger threw it. He batted it up in the air, and then he made quite the athletic play as he dove and he caught the ball, and that was an interception that really put the nail in the coffin as this game would come to a close moments later with the final score 26-6 as the Ravens beat the Steelers at home in Baltimore. They're now 1-1, as well as so are the Steelers. And in this game, Joe Flacco was 21 for 29. Just 166 yards, but he was very accurate. He had the 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger was 22 for 37 with 217 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The leading rusher of the game was Bernard Pierce. He had 96 yards, just 4 shy of the century mark with 22 carries. Le'Veon Bell had 59 yards off 11 carries. Steve Smith had 71 yards off of 6 receptions, and Antonio Brown had 90 yards off of 7 receptions. He did get banged up in the first quarter, in the first half. He went back to the locker rooms. He was able to return, but he never really got into the full swing of things, even though he did pick up 90 yards. Of course, the defense of Baltimore was the real big difference in this game, as they were bringing the pressure. Elvis Dumervil had 2 sacks in this game, as he was just in the backfield, in Big Ben's face all game long. Timmons had 12 tackles for the Steelers, as he was really the big presence for Pittsburgh on that defensive side. Of course, that interception by Haloti Ngata, which brought the game to a close. So Baltimore wins this one on Thursday Night Football. They have a pretty good showing. They win by 20 points, 26-6.